back, everybody. Thank you so much, Nikki Johnson, for joining us again.
Such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, writer, speaker, philosopher,
yes,
writer,
discussion leader.
Discussion leader. Yeah. So give us a quick introduction again for yourself.
Absolutely. So all of those things, writer, speaker, discussion leader, armchair philosopher. And I feel like my specialty is basically taking concepts from a bunch of different areas of nonfiction that generally aren't found all in one place. So particularly philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and science. So yeah, cool. That's my bag. And so, as we've mentioned on previous episodes, currently writing a book called The Internal Process of Enlightenment, Bridging Spirituality and Science. And the focus of this book, very narrow in terms of the whole topic of enlightenment under its many names. But, the process that takes place within the physical human body that triggers the sensations and the experiences that so many different cultures associate with enlightenment. So
cool. Fantastic. And clearly you and I are aligned because we're matching in colors today. It is like the theme of maroon. So, which is exciting because we're going to talk about chakras, which is also aligned with colors.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. So I'm sure at some point we'll touch on colors. So yeah, we've been, for our first couple times talking, we covered so much. So now I feel like is the fun stuff. We're going to go back and kind of do deeper digs into some of these things. So I feel like chakras is one of those things, and I'm dying to hear like your take on chakras. So go for it. Lay it on us, Nikki Johnson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, as you read with many sources, so the word chakra is a Sanskrit word which means wheel. And so these are basically whirling energy centers within the body. And let's keep in mind, too, when we talk about this. So, in terms of the workings of the physical body, you have the physical side and then you have the metaphysical side, both equally important, right?
Yeah.
The one drives the other and vice versa. It's a yin and yang kind of thing. So now the chakras are on that metaphysical side. So these are not things that we can find with the five senses within the body, but they certainly play an important role. So now each, and they are connected directly to the physical body. So each chakra is associated with a particular endocrine gland, but also particular organs as well. So that's how they tie together. And then, so basically, the purpose of the chakra system is to distribute prana throughout the physical body, right?
Prana.
So, yes, so the life force.
Force.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Now, we have the nadis, as we mentioned in our first episode. So they are the Ida and the Pingala. So these are the ones that weave down like this through each of those 7 chakras. Okay. And then you have the Sushumna, which goes straight through the center of the spine. And the polarized experience that we associate with the 3rd and 4th dimension, that is energy flowing through that Ida and the Pingala. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is direct our energy through that central Sushumna, straight up through the crown. And then that opens up some new realms of consciousness for us to explore.
Okay, cool. So just to be clear, because I was so excited to talk about this because it's very ambiguous for me. Like I kind of understand it. So let me just clarify. So the 3 that you mentioned are really just like, are those just channels of energy or like paths of energy? Okay.
Absolutely.
Prana.
Yeah. You can think of them as roots, right? If you think about the caduceus, with the snakes along the side, and then that straight piece with the angel wings.
Yeah.
Dude, it's all about this, right?
Yeah.
Hidden in plain sight. So for sure.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So and meanwhile, there are hundreds of chakras. So I was just listening to, for example, one video with Sadhguru. You probably have heard of him. He's
Mhm.
a Hindu yogi and mystic. And he was talking about, so there are basically, again, hundreds of chakras. He was talking about 118. There are like 108 that you can actually do things with to activate them. Now, so 21 of these are associated with basic normal human functions. By the time you get into like 63 chakra level, now you're early sage kind of thing. 84, now you're starting to activate capabilities that most would consider totally superhuman. Okay.
Associated with another dimension.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
So when most people talk about the chakras, they're talking about the main 7 that are located directly along the spine.
Yeah.
And so we can think of these as, for that energy that is either traveling through the Ida and the Pingala or the Sushumna, these are junctions, and energy can either flow up through or get stuck there. And so we'll talk about that. But basically, as you mentioned, each of the chakras are associated with a particular color. And at first you might think, oh, how cute, it's rainbow colored, how adorable. Well, there's something much more profound here that I see mentioned very infrequently in discussions of the chakras, and here's what it is. So when people talk about raising their frequency, raising their vibration, they're talking about exactly this. So this process of raising this energy along the spine, along these 7 chakras. And each one is associated with a particular range of energy, which corresponds to a particular color and also corresponds to a particular sound range as well. So each of them have a range of wavelength as well as a range of frequency and sound.
Okay, so would solfegia tones fall in there? Are you familiar with solfegia tones?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Cool.
So, but if you think about it, what we consider to be the 3rd and the 4th dimension, the energy range is this range of the colors and that sound range. This is the human experience that we are familiar with, right?
Right.
Which is kind of a profound thing if you really think about it.
Because it's unseen. We can't see it. It's not tangible. We just feel it.
Exactly. So this range of visible light that makes up the different colors, this is the 7 chakras. This is that energy band.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also science, right?
Yes.
And you talk about a lot of science in your book. Yeah, it's like the spectrum of light or something, I think. Yeah.
Yes,
cool.
Yes. Okay. And then one other thing that you don't hear mentioned often, but I'm sure you've seen the spirit science videos. So they're ones. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Definitely dive into
Maybe I just don't know them as
amazing.
spirit science, but
yeah, they're the little animated ones.
Oh,
like the little character who talks
I love those.
Classic, classic. Anyway, I'd seen them years and years ago, but I recently went back and looked at the ones for the lower chakras and the higher chakras.
Okay.
Really good. But one point that's made in there that you don't hear very often, and these were, or the explanation that they gave were based on the Flower of Life books by Drunvalo Melchizedek.
Okay.
Anyway, so what happens with the chakras is there's a progression to it, very similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where if the needs of the lower ones are not met, you're not going to be able to progress and explore the higher ones, right? So that's a key point. But anyway, so and as we discussed in our first episode, most people, I would say most people on the planet are basically focused on those lower 3 chakras. We'll get into what those are. But those are the ones associated with the physical world and everything that you can see through the 5 senses. And as they discuss in those videos, they term it like a half step or a mirror wall before you get to that next set. This is the first harmonic universe or the 3rd dimension. This is the 2nd harmonic universe or the 4th dimension. So People getting into their heart, learning to operate by the principle that Jesus, metaphorically showed us in the Bible, where love others, treat others as you would yourself, love others as you would yourself, getting into that unconditional love. Okay, now we open up the higher ones. Now we start to experience, these chakras that are more
That's
focused
like
on
the gateway.
exactly.
The heart.
So
Yeah.
then, exactly.
Good. Cool.
So, and then, as you get into the higher ones, now we're starting to explore more psycho-spiritual things. Now we're starting to align personal will with divine will. That's the main objective, I would say, for the second harmonic universe, or the fourth dimension. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into specifically for each of those 7 what they are. Okay. So the first one is the root chakra. This one is associated with the color red. So
nice. So that's where we're at today. We're at the very beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
So this one is located at the base of the spine, right at the tailbone. And so this one is associated with survival. So money, food, shelter, all your basic things. That bottom rung of Maslow's hierarchy.
Got it. That's where a lot of us are right now.
Exactly.
Times, right?
And
we're being grounded. We're being pulled down to be grounded. It's very important to have a strong, some of the work I do is we say, you got to start with a strong base.
Yes.
You don't nurture that, then it's hard to grow upon it. So cool.
For sure. And we're always so in sync because you're always like
right
on my next point. I know. But anyway, I was going to say, some of these conspiracy theories that talk about, okay, well, the globalists are trying to keep the world locked in fear. I mean, it comes back to this. So you keep people focused on that one where I don't know whether I'm going to be able to survive.
Yeah.
That prevents people from being able to reclaim their self-sovereignty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the start. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So anyway, this one is blocked by fear. But you can, and really important point as well, for all of the chakras, you can either be overactive, underactive, or of course the ideal is right in the center, the middle way. Okay?
The Tao.
Exactly. So with each of these you can be over or under, and you want to get it right in the sweet spot in the middle. With this one, when you're balanced, you have a sense of peace and safety and security. You have trust that your needs are met in divine timing sometimes.
Right.
You're set with your survival needs. Now, if it's overactive, then you have a fear that your survival needs are not being met. There's fears about lack and poverty and insufficient resources. So again, we can totally see that stuff playing out on the planet right now. Let's keep everyone in that lowest possible tier.
Yeah. Okay? And it's really hard, in all fairness, I work with artists. It's really hard sometimes to see beyond that. Where's the next paycheck? Where's my next paycheck coming from? Which is why also, though, really quickly to throw in there, kind of a silver lining is that this stimulus package, which is actually funneling a ton of money in through unemployment and through all this stuff. So, not everybody's getting that, but it's a big influx of money to a lot of the people who need it most. So, and there's a ton of resources out there right now. So just to encourage people that, to not get stuck down there, which we tend to do, I'd say artists especially, again, to try to get beyond the story of lack.
Yeah. And it is easy to get stuck there. And I know we've all had periods of the dark night of the soul when all of these fears and doubts that are embedded in our soul, in our subconscious, have to rise to the surface, and we have to deal with them. And so one resource that I really like is Trevor Isley, I think his name is. But if you search for Dark Night of the Soul in YouTube, you should be able to find, dude, just the tone of his voice is like balm in those moments.
Okay,
so, yeah, for sure.
It's also just to correlate it to Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, because that's what my book I use in my book. It's definitely the cave, where it's the belly of the beast when you are within, you go within, because you can only transcend it by going within. and breaking
Yes.
out of it. So yeah.
Yes. Gotta raise all that stuff up. Otherwise they just stay buried down there and they
Exactly.
interfere with our ability to manifest. We gotta get that stuff out.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
So if you look at what's happening on the planet right now, freaking planetary awakening. I mean, this is the dark night of the soul for so many people.
And it's collective, which is kind of nice, because then it's, usually we all feel so alone during those periods, but now we're like collectively in the belly of the beast, which is kind of cool. It's kind of comforting. And that's why it is like a mass awakening, I think.
Yeah. And you have the bell curve too of like people in different spots in their hero's journey. So you have some people who have like gone through all of this, all the training to be able to help other people. Like, what the is going on?
Right. Well, and it's non-linear. So sometimes that could be the beginning of your journey. It could be in the middle of your journey, the end of your journey. So you've got people at all these different states, but together in the belly of the beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Okay. So a little interlude about what's going on the planet, but getting back to the chakras. So the sacral chakra is the next one. And so, root chakra. So it's underactive, then you're ungrounded. You're spacey, you're daydreaming, you have a difficult time focusing on physical life. And for all of these chakras, there's a particular seed sound. So it's almost like a mantra for each chakra. And it really resonates. So if you're having trouble with a particular chakra and the issues that it's associated with, and also the body parts that it governs, then you can just say this seed sound, maybe put it in your meditation, and it really helps. So the seed sound for the root chakra is Lam. So Lam. You can totally feel it. Yeah,
you can feel it vibrating down there.
For sure.
Cool.
So one of the links we can put in the description is so there's a 7 chakra meditation, and within this little hour long, I think it's an hour and 11 minutes and 11 seconds or something, how they do this. But they use the seed sounds for each of these chakras, and it's really cool. And actually with when I was doing it, I found that if I would say it then with headphones in, then it was like the sound inside my head would kind of like merged with the sound coming into my head. And it was magical.
Outside and inside, going in and out. Cool. I love
that. Exactly. So we can put that in the description. But anyway, okay. So sacral chakra would be the next one. So now this one is associated with the color orange. It's located beneath the belly button. It's associated with procreation, sex, creativity, and pleasure. Okay. This one is blocked by guilt. And if you're, as a recovering Catholic, I
was going to say that Catholic guilt,
totally. Okay. Now, when it's balanced, you enjoy earthly pleasures without shame. So, yay, right? If it's overactive, then we get into sort of addictive, gluttonous behavior. If it's underactive, then you get a deprivation of pleasure. So, it's all work and no play. It's depression, decreased sex drive, and lack of creativity. Okay. And the seed sound for this one is Vam.
Okay, cool, nice.
Okay. So next we have the solar plexus chakra. So this one is associated with the color yellow. It's located at the breastbone, right sort of near your like above the stomach. And this one is associated with personal power and individual will. So basically this is the seat of the human ego. And of course, ego, we can get into this in a future episode too. Ego gets a bad name, but you know what? It's actually, it's critical. It's your tool for navigating this realm of consciousness. You know?
And it's not going away. So either you work with it or you let it dominate you.
It's learning to manage it. It's learning to balance, you know, the impulses that we get from it. So this is the seed of it right here.
Okay.
So when it's balanced, then we feel self-confident, and we are able to be very discerning about what does and does not serve our best interests.
Okay.
When it's overactive, then we've got a short temper, we're an egomaniac,
Right.
we're kind of obnoxious and micromanaging, you got a lack of empathy and compassion. If it's underactive, then we're insecure and indecisive, we're passive aggressive, and we have a lack of self-confidence.
Right.
So, and then the seed sound with this one is Ram.
Ram.
Good.
Oh my God. I dig it. I dig it.
Now the next one
Okay.
would be the heart chakra. So now again, we're getting out of that first harmonic universe where it's purely focused on the physical world and only the stuff that we can see through the five senses. Once we move into the heart, now we're getting into the second harmonic universe. Now we're starting to explore some more psycho-spiritual type things.
Okay.
So this one's associated with the color green. It's located at the heart, the chest, sort of the thoracic spine. And this one is associated with unconditional love and our ability to give and receive.
Nice.
So, yes. This one is blocked by heartache and or heartbreak and sadness. But when it's balanced, then we feel love for ourselves and for all others. When it's overactive, then we're kind of overly giving. We're putting other people's needs way ahead of our own. Now when it's underactive, it's the opposite. So maybe being unable to give as much as we should, but also sort of the inability to get close to others and inability to trust others too. So, and the seed sound for this one is yam.
Yam?
Yes.
Yam. Yam. Okay.
So, and the way I remember this one is, I am what I am. So.
I love it. Yam. Yam.
Yes.
Yam. And it's interesting because you can feel it, the word, repeating the word, you can feel it kind of vibrating in the different areas.
Exactly. It's all about resonance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
I feel that.
You can feel it happen. Oh, and I forgot to mention with the solar plexus, so it's Ram. So you think about the ego and it's like ramming stuff through,
Got it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So yam is love, basically.
Exactly. So next is the throat chakra. So this one is associated with the color blue. Located obviously at the position of the throat. And this one is associated with communication and speaking our truth. So this one would be blocked by social anxiety, I would say. Now when it's balanced, we are able to speak and write. These things come very naturally to us and we are able to speak our truth. When it's overactive, then we're loud and obnoxious and interrupting other people, maybe lying or fibbing or embellishing. When it's underactive, then we're shy and quiet and timid and super afraid of public speaking and unable to express our feelings and our thoughts.
Yeah, it's definitely getting harder the higher up we go. To find the balance. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bar is raised.
Yeah.
And then the seed sound for this one is ham.
Ham.
Yes. And so for this one, to remember it, you eat ham.
Oh, ham. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
So, okay. Next is the third eye chakra. And so this one is associated with the color indigo. I'm an indigo, so this is definitely the focus for this lifetime, I can tell.
Oh, really? Anyway, cool.
Oh, yeah. So this one is located at the brow points, so between the eyebrows.
Okay.
And so this one is associated with spiritual sight and wisdom. This one is blocked by illusion. So, yes.
Yeah.
So when it's balanced, we feel like we're in tune with both the physical and the spiritual world. So remember that there are two sides to the equation, the yin and yang of human experience, right? So got them both under control and in tune with both. Now, if it's overactive, then we have a hard time relating to the human experience, that physical side. So we could be very spacey, obsessed with spirituality, which
I was gonna say, I've had those moments. I've definitely had those moments where it's like I don't want to deal with the physical. I'd much rather just live up here.
I know. So yeah, working on this one.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also get into sort of, for those people who have used maybe psychedelics to really pop this one open, and you get into sort of hallucinations associated with those sorts of things. But by the same token, you can also be underactive with this one, and this would be most of the planet, to be honest. Most people are too physical, and so they need to incorporate more of that spiritual side. And if you think about what's going on the planet right now, okay, a lot of our physical systems are collapsing or just not there right now, or like, what do I do? Okay,
where do I go to work? I can't drive to work. I don't have a desk.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's start to take in more of this realm
and that's the
and find our balance.
Yes, and that's why there's this awakening, because I think people we're being forced to discover that.
Exactly. So the hidden.
And I've heard that the pineal gland, which is up here somewhere.
Now it's great that you bring this up. Now, normally, and before I had researched this, I certainly thought that the third eye and the pineal gland, and that's the understanding of most people. But actually, it's the third eye and the pituitary gland. Still in the brain.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But these glands work very closely together. Now, the pineal gland is associated with the crown chakra. So that would be the next one.
Oh, that's next week. Okay.
Yes.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're here. So, cool. The next one is the crown chakra, associated with the color violet. It's at the crown of the head, so right at the top here. So actually, we can get into this in a whole further episode, like closer to Christmas.
Yeah.
The reason that Santa lives at the North Pole. Oh my God, right? And he goes down the chimney and back up. Dude. Like, I was looking at all the Christmas decorations going, what? Oh my God, I've never seen this symbology before. It's insane.
Well, there's so much. Well, and then also I've heard of like the acorn.
Yeah.
Right? So the pineal gland looks like an acorn, and you see this acorn symbology. Oh, pine cone. Right. Yes, pine cone. Yeah, big difference. Yeah, pine cone. And that the pine cone shows up in all the symbology of religion, like at the Vatican.
It's in the Vatican.
Yes, I have pine cone in front,
I know.
Which is also the opening for a lot of this stuff to come in,
Yeah, and actually, great. So I figured maybe our next episode could be pineal gland activation. So
cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because then there's also this whole thing of where our natural bodies calcifies it.
Exactly.
So it's a natural, we have to work against that. So yeah, let's talk about that in a future episode.
Exactly. Okay, cool. And then, so this one is associated with higher consciousness and spirituality, blocked by attachments and limited beliefs. So when we get to this phase, now we've explored the second harmonic universe. We've learned about how to use the law of attraction to enrich our human life. Okay, we've done all that stuff. We played around with it.
In the one before it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Then now we're getting into, if we want to pop open that next realm, then it's about,
dimension.
Yes. Or the third harmonic universe.
Right.
Either one.
Got it.
Then we need to think about, what attaches us here to this physical plane?
To the physical world, yeah.
Yeah, so the dense things that are not going to allow us to easily navigate this other realm of consciousness, right? So
like alcohol.
Dense things. Yeah.
These like physical things.
Yeah, we'll get into this in the next one. But so anyway, when it's balanced, this is the ultimate spiritual goal. And you don't go right there, which is why anytime you bring up the topic of enlightenment, that's not don't make that your goal. You know,
Right.
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, like in Buddhism, you don't reach nirvana after the first life. It's multiple incarnations.
Totally.
Got
It's a multi-life game.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you balance this one, that pops open the next realm. That is enlightenment. Okay.
Right.
So it's not even this is why, you know, this one is included in the 7 chakras that most people associate with the human experience, but it's not even possible for us to be overactive or underactive with this one. I mean, you will read a lot of people say, you know, you can be underactive or overactive, but this one is associated with that next dimension, that next harmonic universe. So we haven't even touched this one yet. We can see that it exists, and they do a good job of explaining this in those spirit science videos.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, but anyway, we can just we sense that it's there. But it's like, so I've gotten really into watching Westworld, and so, you know, these characters, right, who are like, I know there's something more. It's exactly that. So
yeah. I haven't seen Westworld, but I understand it conceptually.
Yeah, I finally got on board with that. Like, very
cool.
recently. Yeah. So okay, but I mean, and the seed sound with this one is
Of course. It's like
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Ooh, did I mention for the last one? So for the third eye chakra, it's Om. Yeah.
It's Om. Oh, the third one is Om.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And this is Om.
Yes.
Cool.
So
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense because, like, you know, and Om is so popular now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's because if you look at society in general, kind of having this mass awakening has been slowly happening. Some might argue since 2012, which was the end of the Mayan calendar. You know, so if we've been slowly kind of having this mass awakening, this idea of Om and yoga and all these things that have been becoming popular culture has slowly been penetrating us. And so, you know, now is an opportunity to kind of, for those people who may be further along on the journey, kind of explore in between those two, 4th and 5th, which is where you're at.
Exactly.
Right? Cool. But even for the people who are still new to it, it's what's nice is that, you know, like I'm sure when you were coming to all of this, it wasn't as readily accessible. Like now,
no. Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
like now you can say,
the information that I can find now is so different than you know, it goes back to that saying, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
It's very much like that with information where, you know, these topics that are super advanced for me, you know, they're not going to pop up in my world yet.
Right.
But the ones where, yes, I'm resonant with that level of information. Okay, now I'm starting to see this. So yeah. And then as a collective, we're all at different levels. We're all working this thing at the different, you know, levels of this chain, and we just help each other. So, you know, helping to pull up the ones toward the bottom, they're gonna be ready to like explode and just work with more and more of the masses. And yeah, it's almost like an ant colony where we all have our little role, which is dialed in. As you get into this second harmonic universe, then you start differentiating too the voice of the ego and the voice of intuition.
Yes.
The ego's voice tends to be a little more urgent and I need the whatever. Intuition tends to be calm, yes, and grounded.
Yes, I love the distinction between those two. That's really important.
Yeah.
Well, and also as far as the ant colony goes too, is that we are one at the end of the day too. So even though I think that's so important to remember too, especially when we start talking about levels and we kind of imply that there's an upward and a downward, which implies judgment. Of course, when you're up here, you start to realize as far as the 4th or the 5th or 6th chakra, 6th, you realize that there is no judgment. You got to release judgment because it's not a better or worse. It's different. It's different places, and it is part of the whole. If we had nobody down there, we couldn't be up here or whatever. You know, that's the beautiful part of humanity that we all fit in. And I think kind of what you're saying too, as far as the, you know, when you're ready, the teacher will appear. Part of that process is just aligning in and being honest with yourself, doing your own self work on your chakras or whatever that looks like, and making sure that you're open and receptive to where you're at. And this meaning, don't be striving for up here, or it's just not going to be as effective. If you're really striving to be up here, you might be missing all of these messages or meaning around you to where you really might want to be focused, and knowing that, which people are like, how do I know? You don't even need to ask. You just need to relax and focus, align yourself. And this is where meditation and a lot of these other things come in, because you will know it's all inside of you. And again, right?
You're quieting the chatter so that you can hear that still small voice, is I believe Rumi called it. Yeah. So anyway, it's a really exciting process. But ideally, what we want to do is enable the flow up through all of these 7 chakras and then pop the top into that next realm eventually, start exploring that stuff. But basically, the flow of prana, and I was looking too, so prana versus kundalini. I think kundalini is basically a really concentrated form of prana, which travels specifically up the spine. But anyway, prana, kundalini, whatever you want to call it, this energy moving up the spine, each of these chakras, as we progress through that energy range, through the full spectrum of human experience, we kind of pop the lock on each of these chakras, and then we open up the abilities that they allow us to incorporate into our life. So
cool. I love it.
Cool.
Cool. And also, another thing that we definitely need to kind of have a whole episode about, I think, is this whole idea of concept of time.
Yes.
Which
that's a super fun one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, I just I sometimes get stuck on it when I'm trying to get rid of the judgment of all this. Is like it's when we talk about these levels again. It's not like time is relative. So at any given moment, we may be in all of them at the same time, but while still focused. Right, exactly. Yeah. I even have that trouble when I'm writing. Like ever since I was a kid, the teachers would say your tense changes. I'm like, what tense are we in right now? Who knows? I get confused.
Totally. Yep. They all exist simultaneously. And
exactly.
It's it's observation and our beliefs at any given time, and the design of the simulation, as we were talking about last time, that allows us to be able to see with some sort of sense of continuity. Okay, I can learn lessons because it's linear. Then that was the whole point of this experience.
I love it. Awesome. We did good on time.
I know that we did.
Are you ready for final thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Ultimately, it is all about finding that sense of balance. All of these chakras and all of the issues that they govern, all of the body parts that are associated with them, they can get out of balance, either overactive or underactive. And so the goal is the middle way of the Tao, right?
Yes.
So, that sweet spot right in the middle for all of them. And then the energy can flow straight up to the top. So, And what's funny, too, about doing this one today, where we end with balance. So yesterday was the Libra full moon, which is all about balance.
That's right. And tonight is, I think, the full shebang. It's the full moon. So it's a perfect night to go inward. And I'll mention too, this idea, I like to always tie in another way, which is trusting. And when you're finding your balance, is to try to find that without judgment, without judging where you're at, just letting yourself embody and be okay with wherever it is, which I think is so challenging. This is the balance that you're talking about.
Yes.
Easier said than done. So, shout out to everybody who's doing the inner work right now.
Especially right now. Right? Yeah.
And good luck to everybody. So
yes, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emileena.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.